Another day, another dollar. Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad everybody else who's showing up is still here. And yeah, we're gonna get into the markets, kind of what's going on and everything else. And I want to discuss PLTR. Man, this thing's a monster. It's an absolute. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie. I thought this thing would cool down by now, but it's just not happening. It's just not happening. So this stock's getting pretty interesting, and it really makes me kind of come in and question. Will PLTR be the next NVIDIA? Right, the big market shift slash move. And keep in mind too, this company right here specifically is, we talked about it. It's war, right? It's defense and intelligence. That's what the company is, and most defense and intelligence companies do very well. So with that being said, look at the chart. It speaks for itself. So this was definitely one that cooked since the lows. And I wanted to kind of look at it and be like, hey, is this thing undervalued, overvalued? I'm starting to believe that, hey, we got a lot more to go. I'm really starting to believe that. And that's pretty interesting because I'm usually one to be like, it's too high. It's too high to buy. But that's only if momentum's really not in your favor. This is one of those stocks I would say, if you get a pullback, it's something to pay attention to. Right. This is a solid looking one right now. For those who don't know, I followed them for quite some time, and I started pulling the trigger around 2023 on this company specifically, and man, talk about a wild pick, man. This was probably arguably my best performing stock. Period, right? Flat out. I mean, tell me a stock that you buy a couple years prior and you're already up, 10x plus your position. It's just wild to me that the market provides like this. And I know a lot of people in crypto right now are having a hard time. I understand that. Liquidity is not quite there yet. So you just got to kind of deal with the drawdown. But, if you're willing to weather the storm at the end of the day, you will profit, right? You will do well. So for me, I'm just looking at it as, where's the next move, maybe next shift in the market? And then, how do we need to react slash, act into those shifts? And I just find it interesting that a company like this is kind of the major bid. I really do. Because again, it's a war company. We're not in war, right? We're not moving into war as far as I know. There hasn't been any discussion on that. But hey, maybe I'm missing something else. Maybe war doesn't have to push this company higher. Maybe it's just the anticipation of tariffs and us kind of bullying these other countries, and then flexing our military and adding to it. That will cause this company to do well and push forward. So yeah, stocks are laughing on crypto's graveyard, but the warriors shall be rewarded. Exactly, man. Exactly. This stock, especially, man, it's been a strong contender, and arguably it's been one of the best, portfolio supports I've had. Definitely get my portfolio on the green through most of the cycle. I mean, I think I got my aunt in a little story. I think I got my aunt into this one at I think $12 is what I told her to buy at. She put $5,000 into this. Guess how much she's got now from her 401k? She's ecstatic about this stock, right? She's ecstatic about it. She's loving it. She's doing really well with it. And, I'm happy to see her thriving with it, right? So it's definitely one of those ones, man. It's been a good play. I think she's at 55K or 60K profit as of right now, from a 5K investment in a stock. So don't ever believe people when they tell you, hey, the stock market doesn't have any way to make money. It has ways to make money. Crypto's a little faster. When there's a bull run on the edge, you wanna kind of play in crypto a little bit, but stocks always have room. They always do. Yeah, we can look at Workhorse. I do like Workhorse. I'm not gonna lie. Like this, it's not a bad company. It's really, really not a bad company. their biggest issue, I think, is more or less because they lost the contracts they lost, the government contracts, but it doesn't mean in the future that they can't get those contracts or get other contracts, right? So we always have to keep that in mind too. A lot of people, they get bearish about specific things and then they react on that, but price always rebalances. If the company's doing well and the company still has playroom, it's still a solid company. It is kind of still in that downtrend, under the 50 on RSI, on the monthly time frame. Stochastic's rolling the floor. I mean, the one thing you want to watch out for this one is this one and a few other ones is you don't want like reverse splits and shit like that to start to occur, right? And I think Workhorse went through a reverse split, if not a few. I might be wrong. I'll have to look that up. But you don't want reverse splits. Reverse splits are bad. It's how you get kicked off the S&P, and everything else is reverse splits. So, one thing I will say is that I do like this vol spike here on Workhorse, and I've discussed this many times. This is super bullish to me. I think anytime you see these big vol spikes at lows, it's good indication of a potential reversal. I mean, the thing is, too, we have to remember with this, it's a stock. So you have time, right? It may take time to create a low and then start to move back up. I mean, a great example of this is, Bitcoin, Carvana, right? Carvana is another one. Let me pull that one up real quick. I'll show you. Duplicate tab. We'll cover that one real quick. So if we get into Carvana over here, this is another one of those that just, all I heard from people, chapter 11, yada, yada, yada. And I like to reference this one because I feel like it's a kind of a hero story when it comes to stocks, because it was looking bleak. It was looking bleak for Carvana. The only thing I had going for me on Carvana specifically was the divs, right? The bull divs. That's it. I didn't have any other indication. The stock looked like it was about to go under, and the company looked like it was about to go under. So, from that perspective, a lot of people thought this shit was cooked. And this is where I caught that bull div down here at the low, right? And here's that indication right here. Again, these weekly time frames are monstrous time frames. They're literally the best time frames you can utilize for a lot of things, man. I will tell you all that. Like, just always watch his weeklies. But you started to kind of move, and not only that, when you start to move into these areas, right, and you start to stay in these areas, you're like highly stressed out on price action. So you have to really evaluate those ranges and be like, all right, what's going on here? And you can see here all the way through this drawdown, Carvana was playing at basically the oversold range, and people were swearing this company was about to go under. And weekly time frame again, bull div played. Our bull div came out to play, and basically price action ended up shifting back up to the upside. This was your first big shift. Once you got above the 50, it was like, all right, it was go time, right? And that would have put you just above your resistance range, which was your previous support range over here, basically on the initial stock listing. So this is a deviation below stock listing, and then value got so oversold, it forced price up dramatically, right, to the upside. So you always have to watch out for these type of plays. And again, I'm going to continue to be here and show this stuff because I want you guys to be able to identify this stuff yourself, be able to look at these charts, find good plays, and be able to make money off them. Because here's the thing. If you make money from stuff that I show you, then you tell your friends, and they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and then everybody watches Will's Outlook, right? Everybody watches at that point. So I'm incentivized to not rug you, but instead to help you make money. That's my incentivization. But yeah, so again, you broke out right here, hit your 50, and all you did from there just up. The one thing I kind of question is we came down and hit this 50 right here, bounced up really hard. Does this end up kind of starting to get a little heavy up here, right? Does it start to get a little heavy? Or do they get like the big swing out? And if they get the big swing out, this is a totally different conversation. But you'd have to break that range right there. You'd have to get above that 368. Gotta get above that range. And then otherwise, you could come back down and retest some liquidity levels. Maybe somewhere's like right in here. I don't like to see price move below a previous consolidation. I like to see it stay above that. A lot of people like, oh yeah, it's going to test down here, and they'll put their line down here. The reality is like this is a liquidity zone like this, right? That's how you should view this. And so you had consolidation here, and that same consolidation you can see right here was support. That same consolidation you can see right here was resistance, resistance, resistance. So you can kind of identify this level based on, what has occurred here. And you have to look at both sides of this play, right? You don't want to see too much price action in the box. You want to see a lot of price action stopped at the box. Stopped at the box. You did get into the box here, but you stopped at the box here. You rolled, and then you were actually able to break into the box. And then once you got over the box, you're essentially using the box as support. Came back in, consolidated the box, capitulated, consolidated down here into a W, big breakout, retest the liquidity, right? All the way up in these ranges. And I bet I can pull this across and show you a support range right here. Boom, right there. Look at this. Clean, right? Clean support range, became resistance, became resistance, became resistance, became resistance, breakout, got above. Now, this range right here was already consolidated, so you were just basically going to chop in and through this range, breakout, retest, breakout, possible retest, but you want to see price not go this deep, but you want to see it, if it's going to retest, come back, maybe they're like right here, right around 161. If it's not going to retest, likely this thing will move up, and if it shifts up, it will likely break out in a big way, and then maybe come back and retest, and then run again, some kind of consolidation, maybe down to the downside, and then break out again. And this is always the part that everybody has a rough time with, because it feels like you're consolidating twice almost, because you consolidated here, got the big run up, and you're like, man, I wish I would have sold that. And then you get this pull down, and then you get a bigger run up, right? But you don't really have to sell and buy that stuff. Like if you're day trading, day trade specific things and stay focused on those things for day trades. But some things in your portfolio can be stable, right? They don't have to always be traded. You don't have to trade your whole portfolio. I don't know why people think that they have to. And here's the thing too. There's a lot of people who don't have a portfolio, right? They're just trading amount of money. And if you're trading an amount of money, you're not really looking to preserve. You're looking to gain money on money on money. And there's a lot of the time you'll gain a lot. Sometimes you'll lose a lot. Sometimes you gain a lot. Sometimes you'll lose a lot. Sometimes, and it's a really hard game to play that, right? And so I always tell people my thoughts are to always stay more in the realm, right? More in the realm of having some stable investments, things that you buy, hold, maybe dividend stocks, stuff like that you can get residuals on. And then have a certain part of your portfolio that you can, that you do want to trade with if you want to trade. And that way, every time you catch a big win, you can roll some of that into your stable investment, and then, start running the cash flow again on the trade side. If you want to increase your cash side position for trading, you can do that from wins. And then, I would always ideally move some of that off the table into a stable position, which means bidding into stable positions that I currently hold. I think that's always the best way to hold a port, even if you're a trader. And a lot of people don't teach people things like that. They'll be like, oh, you're a trader or you're a holder, right? There's no in between for a lot of these people. So they like to stick to one or the other. I would tell people, like, it's okay to do both if you want to, if you actively want to. But if you're not trading, what do you care about these pullbacks? Why do you care so much? Because 99% of people, I would say, maybe 95, maybe I'm over speaking a little bit, but I think majority of people are not honestly trying to trade this market, right? They're honestly trying to find out where the bear is and get out before a bear occurs, but they're not traders, right? But they're also not investors, because they're not willing to hold something for more than a month, maybe two. And if it comes down 80%, 50%, 20%, they can't hold it anymore because it's not profitable, right? It's not profitable because why? Because you keep on selling. at losses. That's why it's not profitable. Yeah, you can't take, a move like this and then be like, all right, I'm gonna sell, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna wait till we come back down here, and then price ends up here, and you have to buy back in. Like you lose a substantial portion of your position when you do that. And that's where people start to get frustrated, and then they don't want to re-enter markets, or they want to be bearish all the time. And they want this big pullback that'll do what? Give them their original entry. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. And when you do get your original entry, especially on memes, typically you're going to set in that for a long time because you're going to get some kind of consolidation after big run-ups. And the harder something runs, the longer it takes to play, right? The longer it takes to essentially come in and, consolidate. A lot of people don't think about that. They're like, oh, it went up 10,000, 100,000%. Yeah, it's going to consolidate for 3 months. Like, what did you think it was going to do? Yeah, it might consolidate for 6 months. What did you think it was going to do? Did you think it was just going to keep going up forever? You catch a play like that, TP. F the community, right? You get 100x. I tell people all the time. I'm like, you get a 20x, 50x, 100x. TP. You don't have to fully exit, but don't listen to the nut house. There's a lot of people who try to convince you to stay in the game. They'll cheer you on to round trip with them, right? Do you care about the audience, or do you care about making money? That's really the question. Again, 100x, 20x, 50x, and I don't like the TP for percentages. I just don't. It's not me. If I can't catch multiple X's, I'm just like, I'm just gonna hold it. Doesn't matter. I got to catch multiple, especially in crypto. Like, if I'm not catching multiple X's, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, I see people in crypto struggling to get 35%, 25% moves. Just buy stocks. If that's what you're there for, buy stocks. Don't buy crypto. Crypto it's a high volatility asset, and it moves fast. And if you're only catching 25, 35% moves, or praying that you can catch one of those, why would you do that? Why are you not buying stocks? I'm just trying to be realistic here, right? Like I don't understand that. But that's just my mindset, right? And when I say buy stocks, I mean buy like S&P and shit. I'm not even saying buy high risk stocks. Like, just buy shit that just never stops going up. It might be down for like a month, but it's going to go back up again for infinite. But you get like 5-10% per year. It's the same thing you're struggling to try and get here in the crypto market. So again, high risk, high reward. That's how these markets work. But ultimately, I didn't mean to go off on the tangent there, guys. Sorry. My apologies. I do it from time to time. I don't get people sometimes. I watch them post their P&L, right? And I'm just like, that wasn't even a 2x. That wasn't even a 2x. But yeah, so moving back into this again, I think, when you look at Carvana, bull div, right? Look over here at Bitcoin, same thing here at the low, bull div, right? Those are the things I like to look for. Those are the things I like to look for. And I would say, looking at Workhorse, I do like where it's at right now. Looks pretty strong on the weekly. And we're starting to veer back up, right? We're starting to veer back up. So I likes the stock. All right, moving into the next one. Let's get into Ethereum. Ethereum, right? Those of you who've been paying attention and coming to these shows, I did tell you one number, 2,500. All I'm saying, look, that's all I'm saying. All right, that's all I'm saying. Can we roll deeper? We'll see. We'll see. But I don't think it'd be bullish if we fill that whole thing. 2,500. Let's go mark that out for you. Boom. There you go. Technically, I was looking for a little bit lower, but, I'll take it. give or take, right? 2,500 was that mid range because I was looking for them to fill 50% of this move right here, and they've already done that. So if they want to bleed down a little more, that's okay too. What would that look like? Something like that, and then they can break out. But we're not looking like horrible here. I will say that we are not looking horrible. I think it's just a patience game. I think most of the market already capitulated this wick, and you can see here we did end up filling over here, and I think a lot of people are anticipating the same thing over here. What happens if the market doesn't give you that? That's all I'm saying, right? We always have to think about that. We have to think about those things. Market does not always give you ideal entries. I mean, a lot of people were looking for this wick, right? They're like, oh, this big wick right here happened. We're going to go down deeper, everybody. And the market just stayed bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and just left this wick behind. Caught the 50% move and bounced off and ran. Yeah, there's a lot of people hating on ETH, man. Play piano? Of course. The funny thing is my daughter's actually better than I am. Yeah, she's actually better than I am. For like a lot better. And never had any lessons, which is kind of wild, to be honest with you. But yeah, so moving back into markets, I want to take a look at Pepe. I know not everybody's interested. I get it. But I'm looking at technicals. I'm not looking at hopium bullshit, none of that stuff, hype that everybody gives you. Looking at technicals, right? Again, I think this is a solid technical level. That's what I think this is. I think this is a solid technical level. And I think that we did dip a little bit below, just like we dipped a little bit below here, and just like we dipped a little bit below here. But if you take bottom of bodies, like this is looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. I'd ideally like for it not to bleed any more than where it has, so we can keep this higher low structure rolling, right? This one right here. Because if we can keep this running, we can get a big breakout here. Now, what you'll notice over here is I have this set on what? I have it set on basically the market cap. I don't have it set on price of coin. So with that being said, if we get another run up again, and ideally I'd like to have this in log. I have it on regular right now. But if we get another run up from here, and you'll see when I have log on, this looks a lot cleaner, right? It's basically one big channel, but it's good either way. And with log on, it's more like this, right? It's more like this, and less like what I had it as. So again, still riding that trend. And ideally, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see some kind of round out, and that should push us up here towards 17, 20 bills, somewhere in there, I think, roughly, give or take. Staking them, I don't know about staking, bro. I don't know about staking. I'm just saying, I don't know about staking, right? If you know a safe platform that you think you can get out of in 3 to 6 months, potentially, right? If you are getting into something for 8, 10, 12 months, I wouldn't lock shit up for that long because I still think you're going to get a bull or bear. Sorry, my apologies. I still think you're going to get a bear this cycle. So I don't think anything's changed there on that factor. Sui's in an interesting spot too. I like the coin, guys. I talk about this every single day. All right, the same coin every day, because here's the thing. I'll give you guys the juice. All right, I'll spill the tea, as they like to say. I think Sui will be not this cycle's contender, but next cycle's contender. That's a hot take. I get it. Right, it's a hot take, but I really think that that's the case. And so in that scenario, I think it's not something that we should be looking to fade necessarily, and continue to keep an eye on this thing. It will be a runner this cycle. Don't get me wrong. I think you can hit like $7, maybe more, right? Maybe more, but I think it's going to do a lot better next cycle, because next cycle I really think there's going to be a lot of liquidity the way this is all setting up. By the time the Fed gets up, bringing QE all the way into play, balance sheet is basically deleveraged. We're down to like nearly zero rates. That'll be next cycle more than likely. It's not going to happen this cycle. This cycle is going to be kind of a rough cycle because of, the whole inflation thing and everything else. Just because I think liquidity flows will still remain relatively constrained, right? Not fully. I think there'll come a point in the market where the market's just going to blow off. But I do think that liquidity will be kind of an issue moving into next year. So I think next year will be kind of that bubble pop. And when I say bubble pop, it's just market kind of bleed off more or less. Solana looks really good too. It's another one I like. Again, just continuing to play to the upside. The one thing I don't want to see for Solana, and this would be really bad, is if it like broke like this, right? I don't know how I'd feel about that, because to me, if Solana breaks this way, I feel like it'll just keep going. And if Solana starts to lose momentum this cycle, then I would kind of be on board with the cycle probably being nearly done, right? But Solana has to lose certain levels to convince me that the cycle's over. It really does. And why do I say Solana specifically rather than Bitcoin or ETH or any of that other stuff? Because Solana has been the monster of volume, right? It's been the volume monster this cycle. So when liquidity wants to move into the space, it moves pretty heavily through Solana. We've seen that a lot. Does that mean that Solana is like the chain? No, it's a liquidity volume eater, right? It's an eater of volume. Liquidity doesn't necessarily stay; it just flows through. And that's why price has remained relatively mute. As you can see right here, like you sat here for a long time, accumulating and distributing, and eventually your buyers outweighed your sellers, and you were able to break out. And now you're kind of moving into the same camp over here, where you're just like evenly distributing. Your sellers' dilution are up here, and your buyers are down here, and one of them's going to win and one of them's going to break, right? That's all you're looking for, essentially. Just always view it like this, and I'll give you guys a good example with this chart specifically. Your buyers are always going to be below your move, and your sellers are always going to be above. And you know this, right? You guys are probably like, duh, but a lot of people don't think about these pinch points, right? The way price moves between two ranges, and they don't understand you got buyers and sellers almost evenly distributing when you get down to that pinch, right? So when you get down to the pinch, you've got buyer. That's why pennants work really well, right? They work well because your buyers and your sellers are evenly matched in this range. They're evenly matched, and it causes this compression of price to such a degree that you'll either get a breakdown or breakout, right? So this is a pennant right here, for those who may or may not be aware. Let me add in a image real quick. Hold on, chart. So this is supposed to be how these play out. Copy image, which is how this played out, right? So this is a bull pin and a bear pin. So bullpens typically, again, I mean, this is a beautiful example of a bullpen, right? And it's an even distribution of sellers and buyers in a range. So sellers want to sell high, buyers want to buy low, right? And then it comes to a point where sellers are willing to sell for cheaper and buyers are willing to buy for more. sellers are willing to sell for cheaper, right? They almost equal out right here, but sell for cheaper, we'll just say it there. And then buyers are willing to what? Buy for more. And then you come over here and sellers are willing to sell for cheaper, right? And then buyers are what? Buyers are willing to buy for more. So, and then it comes to a point where it's like, all right, you continue to sell for cheaper. Buyers have considered or have sat here and wanted to buy for more. Which one wins this battle, right? And then you get a decision that gets made. And typically it's usually in favor of momentum, whichever direction momentum's coming from, right? So in this case, momentum is coming from the bottom side. So because momentum is coming from the bottom side, a pennant then in a tightening price range becomes a bullish pattern, right? Because it's coming from the low end range. And then what you get is you get this breakout. And one thing we see here is like, it doesn't look like a pennant, but you could see the tightening price action range right here, right? Even though you got this big breakout right here. And so what's likely going to happen here for Solana, in my opinion, right, in this next range, very much like what happened here, up pennant. Now, granted, you had this breakout. You're going to fill this at minimum, hopefully hold this range. If you don't hold this range, you might be screwed. Hopefully hold this range on this next breakout. And then once you hold this range, be able to continue price higher. That would be my thoughts, right? You feel this entire move right here that basically puked up and dropped. And then after you fill that, you find a range up here. You consolidate in that range. You stay above all-time high and you push. I think that was a really good example of like how to play this, right? I don't think it's over for memes. I don't. I mean, we saw CZ just pump a shit ton of stuff. Liquidity flowed in immediately. We're watching bots continue to just buy in the millions of volume and liquidity. One great example of that has been Captain BNB. That thing has been an absolute monster show. It keeps flushing back down, but they keep buying it back up. So it's kind of like, man, what are they gonna do here? But let me pull it up real quick. Give me a second. Captain. And you're starting to see Ponzi's pop up now too. I like Ponzi's, by the way, as long as we get into them early. I mean, look at this chart. This thing is sitting at 2.2 mil. Now, here's what I think will happen with it. I will say this. I think this was your blow off top. I think you'll sit here and consolidate. CZ will say some shit, and it will start to do this. That's what I think is going to happen here. Yeah, we're obviously on the daily, but I do think you'll bleed for a bit, being as much liquidity as there is, and there's a lot of unlocked. The unlocked liquidity is just simply people that have bought the coin and are using it as liquidity pools, right? So it's not necessarily a bad thing with the unlocked liquidity. A lot of people think that's bad. It's just holders basically making liquidity pools with their coins, which is not a bad idea with a coin of this size and this much liquidity, because the trading volume would pay out really well, right? So you have to look at it from that. Binance Cabal? No, it's just CZ. It's just it's not Binance Cabal. It's just CZ. Like this, if you've been here long enough, you've seen it enough, you know, right? Like the guy moves markets, 9.4 million followers too on top of it. Definitely more than Jail Stool, right? Or whatever. I forget his name. Yeah, this guy can definitely move markets. He's got the back and he's got the liquidity. If he wants to pump the market, to pump it. If he doesn't, he'll sit by and let it kind of play out. And the fact that he's being very active is kind of an indication to me that he sees something that a lot of people are not seeing. I don't think he's coming in to just grab liquidity. Like, this guy knows when to hop into the market and when not to hop in the market. Well, why does he know when? Because he was doing it with his own freaking money. CZ was like one of one of the front runners on the market, as well as one of the exiters on the market, right? A lot of people are flooding in saying that they're, Coinbase is insolvent. That's another thing I hear. That's kind of funny. I think like if you're gonna make those claims, you have to understand that Coinbase specifically is a stock company. That means they get audited, which means they can't be insolvent. They have to have all their funds. That's how stock companies work. And because of that, it's just a mute point. Again, I've seen all the FUD on the timelines, all of it, every bit of it. My thoughts are on Barsic. Again, it's Hasbulla. I'm gonna Hasbull, but I think the dude's got connections. I think it's gonna be, if you sit long enough and you let it play out, he's still actively promoting it. It will end well for you, but you have to be patient, right? And if you're not patient, I would say just don't bother with it. It's one of those. I'm just letting it play out. I'm not real bothered by the price action on it. I did buy around the 400K range liquidity. I don't know what it's at right now. I still hold it. And if it gets down to some extreme number and he's still promoting it, I'll likely buy more, right? If it gets down to like 200K liquidity and he's still promoting it, I'll likely buy more. If it gets down to 200K liquidity and he's not promoting it, then, tax write-off. That's it. That's all I can do with it, is what it is. Which a lot of you don't think about either, right? When you catch L's in crypto, it's not just you catching an L. You can write that shit off on your taxes. I think up to like, I don't quote me, ask your tax advisor, but like I think like up to, in the US, up to 2,500 or something like that, some amount like that. And I think if you take more of a hit, you can keep writing it off every subsequent year moving forward until that amount is kind of equal. 3,000. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not a tax advisor. I don't know anybody who is around me other than my tax advisor, right? Other than my tax guy. But outside of that, all I know is that you can utilize that method, right, if you want to. So don't think you just got to take an L and deal with it. That's not how this works. So you can definitely write that shit off and call it a day. But yeah, so this thing has been kind of like playing this low end range. But yeah, again, I would just try to show the liquidity pump that basically ran there. And I think there was another one too. I forget what it was called. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. Don't buy this, by the way. At least I would say don't buy it. But I wasn't sure this was gonna run, but I did get some noise around this one. Broccoli. And some people told me about it, but I ignored it because I wasn't sure. But this thing got absolutely demoed. I don't think that's the one. Let me try and pull it up quick. It should be on Binance, I would think. But it got demoed. I would not be buying that. This might have been it. I don't know. But one of them I saw like pumped up really hard, and somebody got out with like 8 mil in one clip. So gotta be careful. Just because CZ tweets it doesn't mean that what's being launched is the right thing. And I'm sure it was a Binance one that got absolutely shreked also. But yeah, moving back in the charts. A little bit off topic there. My apologies. I think like BNB looks pretty good here too. I like this, but man, these wicks are crime, bro. Like these wicks, these are crime. Like, come on, bro. Come on. Who bought this? You already know. You know who bought this. You know who's supporting BNB. You know who's doing that. Got to keep that net worth up. Got to keep that confidence up with the net worth, right? But then I was so confident after this run, BNB was going to come down to these ranges, like $41, and I was going to buy this, and never happened. I was like, okay, this is not going to play out well, and then we're going to dip. But BNB just continued to find support here, and and I was just like, all right, well, guess I'm not buying BNB this cycle. Missed it. But I still think there's a lot to give. Again, BNB is a great indication. Also, you can see you haven't broken all-time high. Solana, you haven't broken all-time high. Ethereum, obviously, you haven't broken all-time high. See? Well, okay. Some people are like, oh, yeah, we broke all-time high, bro. It happened. Okay. All right. We had to wake up here for a moment. All right. We had to wake up there for a moment. So, yes, we broke it temporarily, but we didn't break it and sustain it. That's what I mean by that. So there was no break and sustain. BNB, there was no break and sustain. You did break it. And then ETH, obviously the underperformer. You didn't even touch it yet. But ultimately, I would say this is a high liquidity zone, right? So very high. How's it going, Dilla? Very high liquidity zone. You can see it right here. You can see it right here. You can see it right here, and right here, right? But eventually, you're going to break above this. And when you break above it, I think price will end up breaking kind of to the upside. Sitting pretty at 180% on BNB. Nice, yeah. BNB is it's a tricky one, man. I won't be tricked twice. Yeah, let's move into some other things though over here. And we talked about Rumble. This thing, you're getting gap filled on that. So if you guys are holding that, I'm telling you, it is going to happen. You are getting gap filled. Like if you've been trading long enough, you know this is going to happen. So I'm buying $20.50 roughly, right? Give or take. If that takes 6 months, takes 6 months. Is what it is. I wanted to kind of run through some of these tickers on here though. I have every ticker in crypto just about from the old school days. So I want to kind of run up some of these high percentage plays. Let me get rid of some of these ones that have nothing. This thing, man, Telecoin. Bro, Telecoin. Come on. And you're above the 50. I think this market's about to pop off. Again, I talked about this last time. I said the volume wasn't there. I don't know what's going on over here, but this thing, like, the sellers are out, maybe? Sellers are out. You just have buyers because there's no volume coming into this thing, but it just keeps going up in big ways because the volume here is nothing like the volume over here. They're just not the same. And I remember the narrative over here was for Telcoin is that Telcoin was going to hit $1. Like OMI. If you've been here long enough, you know OMI, right? So, or OMI, Ecomi, you know that one. And that was one of those two that they said, oh, yeah, if this hits 50 cents or $1, that, you know, you'll be a millionaire off $100. You start getting those conversations. FFIE. I mean, I drew this out. I don't even know how they're saying this is up 21%. That's wild. Let me see. Log. There we go. Yeah. This is Faraday is going to be crime. I will say that Faraday is going to be crime. If you're looking for a stock Ponzi, I won't say. I don't want to use the word Ponzi, but if you're looking like for like a GME, AMC type play, Faraday is one of those hot ones that are kind of playing undercover. A lot of people aren't paying attention to it, but I think this one will be a cooker. Once you start to see GME, AMC plays start to play out, there's a lot of short side on Faraday, and this thing did. I mean, it did pretty good here. Ran out really freaking hard. I think I sold this. Dude, I don't know what I was thinking, but like I literally sold this at $4. I threw in like 5 G's, ran this up 4x, and I was like, you got a gap fill. I was like, I'm just gonna exit because we're gonna fill the gap, and then it just like fell through the gap, and I was like, bruh, I'm glad I got out of this because the fact that they didn't hold in the gap meant that you were likely gonna bleed down further. So that's exactly what played out here. Then this basically where they should have found support right above this range became resistance. They kept stabbing into it and failing, but their support range was right down here. But I think this thing's worth playing, man. Like I'm gonna probably likely buy back in again. I do think that you'll probably kind of hover down here a little bit more, but like I mean this is like, look down here, it's $1.37. You can run this all the way up to like $4 or $5. This thing will be it'll be a cooker, man. It'll be a cooker. Omi dead. It keeps making new lows in a bull. I haven't looked at Omi, bro. I'll look at it though. I'll pull it up. Yeah, I haven't looked at that one in a while. Venice airdrop on bit. How do I get that? How do I don't think I got the airdrop. I probably should. Is it just for using base? All right, I'll let you figure that out. Hood's looking pretty good. We already talked about that the other day. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Lucid. If you know, you know, right? I've been tracking this one for a long time. I'm very bullish on Lucid. I think it'll be high-end luxury EV car company. Andy ETH. I'll check it out. I would say like with those ETH plays right now, you just gotta let them stew, man. It's gonna be painful, but you gotta let them stew. They're not gonna do nothing right now. They're absolute like this is the time to accumulate if you want to accumulate because like nothing's gonna cook on ETH right now. I don't think. I think ETH's got to break all-time high for you to get these things to actually cook. And if you're gonna wait for it to break all-time high, you're gonna be way too late. So you got to buy and hold on for dear life because the volatility is gonna be hell. Let me pull up DEX though. We'll see what we can see here. Oh, this is the no, that's not it. No, this okay. So the broccoli I showed you guys is the wrong one. This is the broccoli. Dude clipped out for 8 mil right here. Launched, clipped out 8 mil, and it's still got some momentum, right? Does it feel the wick? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a betting man on this one. I would not bet on that, man. I would not bet on that. Let me pull up Dex Trader though and see what we got going on Andy. I think it's on Trading View too, but I like to see the whole price history. And hold on, that might be a cooker. Interesting. We'll talk about that. What I just looked at a few minutes or a little bit later. Andy, I mean, there's so many Andy East, bro. Like, let me see. No, those are all base. I mean, I already got it charted out. Okay, let's see what I had here. I'm gonna see how it worked out. All right, so, yeah, it did not work out the way I thought it was. So I show right here above the 50 is bullish. We're playing at the lows right now. I'd say you're right there. You're at that cook range right here. Like that's the cook range right there, right? That's where you should find support realistically. And this isn't the only one that's done it. I mean, Fartcoin did the same thing. Mod did the same thing. Here's Fartcoin. Boom, same thing. Mod did the same thing over here. Whoops, sorry, Mod. I don't know why I'm looking at the base version, but sure, we'll go with it. You see right there, that's your support range right there. So if we were looking at it from this perspective, boom, right? Same thing right here. Yeah, they're all kind of doing the same thing. It's a hold on for dear life if you're on an ETH play, right? It's a hold on for dear life. Let it do its thing. OX68. Yeah, I think I got the right one there on the Andy pairs. There's just so many. Man, I feel like I was the first one to crack the code on the boys club, and then the dilution just started going from there. It just dilution after dilution after dilution. Yeah, you can see right here. I have everything kind of lined out. And look, you know what the funny part is? I have all these sitting here as support. I have all this showing resistance right in this range, and we fell right into support. What can I say, right? TA doesn't work is what some people say. Some people say TA doesn't work. Some people say it's voodoo, right? It's magic. It's magical internet lines. I mean, look, I'm just saying, right? It looks like it works to me. It looks like it works to me. Home screen, gotcha. Yeah, I think I saw it too. YNE. All right, we're not shitcoin hunting, guys. We're chart maxing. Okay, we're gonna start looking at charts. We're not looking at stuff that looks like Fartcoin and Goat. And, I mean, this looks like. What does that look like? What does that look like? You want to see what it looks like? Here, let me show you. Duplicate. Let me show you what that looks like. What's that look like? You want to see something else? Let me show you something else. You guys got to recognize the signs. All right. It's little kids drawing lines. All right. It's little kids drawing lines and putting them as their image. Can it cook? Sure. Right? It can cook, sure. But you got to understand when there's mimic on mimic on mimic. Right? And this is mimicking the goats. So if you want to play it, play it. But there's nothing special about this. Chart wise, you got dropping wall, price action settling. I would say you could probably look to bid somewhere in there if you want to bid it from a chart perspective. I'm just keeping it real. Look, I know people hate that, right? Don't fuck my bags. I get it. Look, I understand that that's how people feel. But if I don't keep it real with you, who is going to keep it real with you? Who? The other people on the internet? Or are they just going to tell you to keep buying? I have to keep it real. When I see something, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what I see. That's it. To spot reversals, two ways. Stock RSI mix, 2 ways. I like to see bottom stock above the 50 or riding the low, right? So RSI has to be here or here, above here, right? Or below or above here. And you need confluence. What is confluence? It means that stochastic's doing the same thing here, right? Which means you need stochastic not up here, but down here, ideally. You got a big drawdown right here, right? And with that big drawdown, if we put a marker there, let's do a vertical. You'll see what? You'll see a bottom stochastic. You'll see a arguably bottomed RSI too, because if you look at trend here, again, bull trend reversal, right? You got a bottom, and I just picked this right out the bucket, right? Lucid. You got a bottomed RSI based off trend. And what do you do on this low once stochastic and RSI are pretty much in line? You bounce hard, right? Does it always mean reversal? No. It just means you're going to get a hard bounce. Even bull dips mean you're just going to get a hard bounce. And they can become dead cat bounces too. But long-term bull dips, typically long-term being weekly, monthly, will indicate a bottom or low. I think if you're going to do it, you need three things, right? You need to have stochastic. You need to have RSI at a level where they're in confluence, and you need ripping volume, right? And if you get those three things, likely your low has been set. Watch and see if this doesn't end up being the bottom for Lucid on the weekly time frame too. Watch and see. It'll be Palantir 2.0 in like 6 months to a year when I'm showing the stock again. So if you get those things coming together, you got a recipe for a good play, right? You got a recipe for a good play. That's the way I would take it. And that's why I don't use all these other indicators, right? I don't use Fu Manchu or I don't use any other indicator. I don't use any special made indicators. Usually with special made indicators, somebody's like, hey, I got this killer indicator, bro. You know what they did? They took code from like 2 different indicators and combined them. Sometimes 3, right? And they'll combine them and they'll be like, it's a special indicator. There's nothing special about it. You just put a bunch of indicators together. And I think like my way of trading, because I don't want to say everybody's trading is wrong, because that would be wrong on my part, because everybody trades a different way, and there's a lot of people are successful in the way that they trade, which could be completely different from what I do. But my way of trading is lessen your indicators, right? I'm using 2 plus volume, and then run off those and find a system that works with those few indicators, because it's all about KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Always tell yourself that whenever you're trying to figure this out or that out, and are we going to bounce on the 50 MA, the 100 MA, and let's add a 120 MA and a 350 MA and a 550 MA to cover the 550 week, and you start like that shit's just going to confuse you. That's all it's going to do, because you're going to look at the MA, then you're going to be like, oh, we're supposed to catch a bounce here, but all your other indicators, the ones that are more important, the ones that are relevant right now, right? Your immediate indicators are your RSI, stochastic, and your volume. Those follow price to the T, right? You have lagging and leading indicators. What is a lagging indicator? It is one thing I just mentioned. Does anybody know what a lagging indicator is? MAs. They're a lagging indicator. That's why when people usually talk about death crosses, the death cross has already happened, right? Price has already reacted to where the death cross is now. It happened just 5 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago. And that's why a lot of people have a hard time with death crosses. They're like, oh, there's a death cross on the weekly or the monthly. But then what happens to price? Reverses right back up on a death cross. They call it a death cross. Is it a death cross or is it a white swan cross? Because everybody calls it a death cross, but price always reverses on a death cross right back up. Again, just more indication to stay on top of your trading in a specific way and not get involved with all the other bullshit that a lot of people are trying to grab your attention, right? Somebody will be like, oh, I wrote some code. I made these indicators. I did these things. It's like, you don't need all that. You can literally just keep it as simple as possible and be a good trader. Be a good trader. Like, you don't have to be the best trader. You just got to be a good trader. That's it. You got to make money. That's all you got to do. You got to go into a trade, come out in the green. Go into a trade, come out in the green. Do you need to make millions of dollars? No. You can make hundreds of dollars. You can make thousands of dollars. But you need to start slow and you need to keep it simple until you understand how everything works. And then once you understand how everything works, then you could start diving into MAs and all this other shit that's lagging. They're literally lagging. MAs are lagging indicators. Lower time frames, you can use them. You can use them lower time frames. But I think higher time frames are very lagging. And what I would tell you all, a little bit of homework tonight for you to kind of sit down and look up lagging and leading indicators, right? And you'll get a list. You'll see the ones that I use, right? The volume, the stochastic, and RSI are leading indicators. You'll see the ones that most people typically talk about. Oh, we bounced out the MA 450 are lagging indicators. Think about it. Just take that home, think about that, and try and, figure out what works for you. If MAs work for you, use them. I'm not going to tell you not to. But what I'm telling you is I like things that are more immediate with price action because it gives me a better edge. It just gives me a better edge. People are not looking at the simplest layout, right? They're looking at the most complicated layout possible. Most people are. And they can't even figure out how to read the most complicated one, but they're using it. And that's why their success rate isn't that good. It is not. Again, we're running into that hour time frame. I did a little bit of bullshitting around tonight, and my apologies on that. We'll try and get more to the point tomorrow, obviously, and we'll kind of get down to the nitty gritty. I'll try to get into more charts. I'm gonna bring you guys some cookers tomorrow. I'm gonna do some research, right? I'm gonna do what I tell you all to do. DYOR. I'm gonna DMOR, right? Do my own research. And when I do my own research, I'm going to try and find you guys some cookers that I think are in good levels to be buying. We're going to talk about things that are good long-term investments. We're going to talk about things that are somewhat short-term investments and maybe some trades, right? We'll talk some trades. But I think people should be looking at more investing right now. I think there's a lot of opportunity to get big swing moves, and that's what we should be really aiming for versus the smaller percentage up and down volatility moves. They're just not worth my time trading. That's why I don't trade them. I trade for the swing. But yeah, I would just want to say real quick, I appreciate all of you. Thank you for showing up. I'm going to say this every single night. You're going to get sick of hearing it every day. But dude, just stop telling us that you love seeing us, that you care about us, that you're going to be here and help us. Stop saying that every night. You're going to hate to hear it, but you're going to hear it every single day. And with that being said, I would like it if all of you could do me a huge favor before we close down the stream. If you could like, comment, retweet if you're on Twitter. If not, just like and comment, right? That would be greatly appreciated. Again, thank you all for coming here and, being here on a daily basis with me. And I appreciate every one of you showing up, and I'll continue to show up for you. And if anything happens, I'll definitely let you all know on the timeline. Typically Twitter is where I like to do a lot of my feed, and you guys can check that out. And then, if I'll let you guys know if anything kind of ever stops me from being able to show up, but I'm going to try and be here 365, man. And you guys may not know this, but 5 days I'm on here streaming to you all. Saturday, I'm with the BB boys, right? That's what we're doing on Saturday. I'm teaching TA and I'm doing all that stuff. That's with the BB. And then on Sundays, I'm doing a live sub stream with all my Twitter sub followers. So the people that are, subbing to me and providing their hard-earned money. I try to keep it cheap. I think I charge like $5 on the sub. It's not anything extravagant. It's just, if people want to, they can. I do drop some gems in there here and there. Try to get some cookers in there for the subs, but not everything always works out, obviously. But I'm always dropping what if I'm dropping it, I'm buying it, right? I bought it. I didn't get allocation. I didn't get any type of weird shit in the background where I'm trying to pump and dump or anything like that. I'm not one of those guys. I don't have a Telegram where I'm telling you what to buy it and getting you into pump and dumps, none of that shit. Everything I do is transparent, way out in the open. I try to put it on the timeline so you could track me and call me out if I'm bullshitting at the end of the day, right? So I hope you all appreciate that. I appreciate all of you. Again, like, retweet if you can, if you're on Twitter, right? and comment on whatever platform you're watching me on, and I would greatly appreciate that. It really does help, especially on YouTube, man. Like, it really helps on YouTube. I don't have a big following on there, but would like to build that if possible. Thank you all again. I'll see you all tomorrow, right? Sorry, the times are kind of inconsistent, but I got to work around what I got to work around. So I show up every night, but the times aren't always as flush. But, you know, if you could show up, show up. If not, the stream will stay posted on all the platforms that I'm currently streaming on. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow, and have a good night.